When truth comes into the world, the star of knowledge advises the magi of it, and they hasten to adore the infant who creates the future. It is by means of the intelligence, the hierarchy, and the practice of obedience that one obtains initiation. If the rulers have the divine right to govern, the true initiate will cheerfully obey. Excuse me. The Orthodox tradition were carried from Chaldea by Abraham, the reign in Egypt in the time of Joseph. Together with the knowledge of the true God, Moses carried orthodoxy out of Egypt, and in the secret traditions of the Kabbalah we find a theology entire, perfect, unique, like that which in Christianity is most grand and best explained by the fathers and the doctors, the whole with a consistency and a harmoniousness which is not as yet given to the world to comprehend. The Sohar, which is the key of the holy books, opens all the depths and lights all the obscurities of the ancient mythologies and of the sciences originally concealed in the sanctuaries. It is true that the secret of this key must be known to enable one to make use of it, and that for even the most penetrating intellects not initiated in this secret, the Sohar is absolutely incomprehensible and almost illegible. The secret of the occult sciences is that of nature itself, the secret of the generation of the angels and worlds, that of the omnipotence of God. Ye shall be like the Elohim, knowing good and evil. Had the serpent of Genesis said, and the tree of knowledge became the tree of death. For 6,000 years the martyrs of knowledge toil and die at the foot of this tree, and it may again become a tree of life. The tree of life. The absolute sought for unsuccessfully by the insensate and found by the sages is the truth, the reality, and the reason of the universal equilibrium. Equilibrium is the harmony that results from the analogy of contraries. Until now, humanity has been endeavoring to stand on one foot, sometimes on one, sometimes on the other. Civilization has risen and perished either by the anarchical insanity of despotism or by the despotic anarchy of revolt. To organize anarchy is a problem which the revolutions have and will internally have to resolve. It is the rock of Sisyphus that will always fall back upon them. To exist a single instant, they are and always will be by fatality reduced to improvise despotism without other reason of existence than necessity, and which consequently is violent and blind as necessity. We escape from the harmonious monarchy of reason only to fall under the irregular dictatorship of folly. Sometimes superstitious enthusiasm, sometimes the miserable calculations of the materialist instinct have led astray the nations, and God at last urges the world on toward believing reason and reasonable beliefs. We have had prophets enough. We have had prophets enough without philosophy, and philosophers without religion. The blind believers and the skeptics resemble each other, and are as far the one as the other from the eternal salvation. In the chaos of universal doubt and of the conflicts of reason and faith, the great men and seers have been but infirm and morbid artists, seeking the beau ideal at the risk and peril of the reason and life. Living only in the hope to be crowned, they are the first to do what Pythagoras, in so touching a manner, prohibits in his admirable symbols. They rend crowns and tread them under foot. Light is the equilibrium of shadow and lucidity. Movement is the equilibrium of inertia and activity. Authority is the equilibrium of liberty and power. Wisdom is equilibrium in the thoughts which are the scintillations and rays of the intellect. Virtue is equilibrium in the affections. Beauty is harmonious proportions and forms. The beautiful lives are the accurate ones, and the magnificence of nature are an algebra of graces and splendors. Everything just is beautiful, everything beautiful ought to be just. There is, in fact, no nothing, no void emptiness in the universe, from the upper or outer surface or our atmosphere to that of the sun, and to those of the planets and remote stars. In different directions, science has, for hundreds of centuries, imagined that there was simple, void, empty space. Comparing finite knowledge with the infinite, the philosophers know little more than the apes. In all that void space are the infinite forces of God, acting in an infinite variety of directions back and forth, and never for an instant inactive. In all of it, active through the whole of its infinite.